It's the Indie Horror Junkie Podcast, your source for anything and everything indie horror. Here's your host, Otis B. Dreads.
Hello. Sorry for the little confusion right there. Just to let you know, Otis is not going to be with us today. Otis is actually on set right now filming with Helvira. So good for him. Yeah, I think he's in Texas. So I am going to be manning the controls myself today and hopefully not screwing it all up. We have our guests that I'm going to be introducing here shortly, and then we'll pull them up and go from there. So once again, like I said, this is the first time I'm running solo. So please forgive me if I put the wrong screens up or anything like that. But we will do our best to see if we can make it look somewhat professional. I already missed the podcast teaser, so we'll just have to go on without that. All right. Now, real quick, some housekeeping real quick before we introduce our guests. Issue number 8 is currently out. You can get it on the website, which is at indiehorrorjunkie.com. You can either download the PDF file for the computer, which will get mailed off to you as soon as it's paid for, which reminds me also, they're no longer free. As of right now, we are doing $5 per the PDF, and the magazine is still $15 plus free shipping. So if you want to go ahead and download those, order those, we'll get those off to you as quickly as possible. This issue has really come out spectacular. I think I'm getting better and better with my layouts, and we're getting obviously a lot better content because we're starting to get the word out there and more people are hitting us up. So we're putting up some really good things. I am already working on issue number 9, which is going to go live on May 13th. And we're going to have a lot of content with that one. It will be one of our bigger issues. So definitely stay tuned for some notes on that. We also have a couple of events coming up. I will be announcing them here for the next week in the podcast. We have one coming up in April. We have one coming up in June, and we have one coming up in October. And we're looking at putting together a couple more in between there. So I will get you all the details, all the dates, the times, where you can go. We'll have all our merch. We'll have a table set up. We'll have the magazines. We'll have T-shirts, buttons, stickers, the whole bit, and you'll get to meet some of the junkies there as well, myself and Amy included. So I will get you, like I said, all those details, and we will present them next week. So we got a few people filtering in right now watching the podcast, so that's great, and hopefully they're not going to see me screw up too much. We'll do the best we can. But we have a couple, like I said, people here tonight that we're really excited to talk about. There's a new film coming up. It's called Inner Child. It's a dramatic psychological thriller, it looks like, with some horror elements. And we're going to have the writer-director, some of the cast members. We'll have them on board so we can chat about that, how it came to be, all that good stuff. So in the meantime, I just want to make sure that I don't have anything else to let you guys know about. I think we're pretty good. So we're going to go ahead and jump right into it. I've got a couple of them sitting right now in the green room. So what we're going to do right now is go ahead and, as a matter of fact, I'll go ahead and show you the teaser that I forgot all about at the beginning. Then I'll go ahead and show you the trailer for Inner Child, and then we'll go ahead and bring them on, and we'll get this party started, okay? So here we go. Thank you for joining us at the Indie Horror Junkie Podcast, and hope you enjoy.
Hi, I'm Jen Soska. And I'm Sylvia Soska. And we're the Soska Sisters. And this is Indie Horror Junkie. Indie Horror Junkie!
Indie Horror Junkie.
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 We're a panic attack.
And this is Indie Horror Junkie.
Woo! Indie Horror Junkie.
Indie Horror Junkie! Indie Horror Junkie! Indie Horror Junkie!
Cassie? What's the matter, Cassie?
Not real.
Cassie?
You're not real.
Cassie? Cassie, wake up!
All right. We have Isabella, Kevin. We had, and looks like his camera's off right now. And then the other ones will be joining us here shortly. So at least I got everybody on screen. So that's a good thing. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing really good.
It doesn't look like it's evening where you are. Where you at?
I'm at dance practice because I also have dance practice right now. So
Oh no, I meant like what state are you in?
I'm in like California.
Oh, Calvin, that's why it's sunny out there. It's because it's nighttime here. I'm in Florida. So.
No.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, my daughter lives in California too, and my granddaughter just went to dance practice yesterday. So how about that? Okay.
No.
All right. So you're right now the only one we have, Kevin. Like I said, it looks like he's offline. I saw him online while the trailers were going, but he's offline right now. And then we're expecting a few more from you. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and focus on talking to you, learn a little bit more about the movie, and then as they get here, we'll introduce them. You want to go ahead and introduce yourself and let us know a little bit about how you got involved in this movie?
All right, sure. Hi, my name is Isabella Bell, but you can just call me Bella. I'm 10 years old, and the way that I got involved with the movie, my mom, she saw the film, and she brought me the script, and I loved it because I love horror movies. I'm just a big horror fan, and that's how I got involved with it.
What's your favorite horror movie?
Favorite horror movie? Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh, very nice. Yeah. Just the first one? You like all the ones that came after it?
I think the first one.
Yeah, that's my favorite too. There's some other good ones, but for the most part, the first one. So, all right.
Yeah.
So you love horror movies. Your mom loves horror movies too, I take it?
Yep.
Oh, right. That's good parenting right there. Let her know that for me. Okay. So one of the questions I was going to ask the writer-director, but I will go ahead and ask you, maybe you know the answer to this, but when I was reading some of the material she sent over, it sounds like this movie actually started out as a story or a novella, and then it turned into a script for a film. Do you know much about how this all started?
Not really, no.
Okay, so tell me this then. When you got the script for it, what did you think after you first read it? Don't tell me any of the details. We don't want to be surprised here. So, what were your thoughts?
My thoughts about the script, I just really like it, and it was also kind of related to me, so that's how I kind of connected with it and got to the character.
Oh, very cool. Looks like we have somebody else joining us here. I'm going to try my best to bring him. Hey, there we go. Hello, John.
How you doing? Sorry, had some technical difficulties getting in, but I made it.
That's all good. And we have, looks like, says Bella Jaime. I don't know.
Bella Jamie.
She's not here yet, so but it just says that she just jumped in. So when she gets on, hopefully we'll be able to pull her up. So I was just asking Isabella here, just some little minor, while we're waiting for everybody to kind of join us here, a little bit about the story and stuff. Now, she said that when she read the script, she got the script, she loved it, and she's a big fan of horror films as well. Are you the same, or is this pretty much,
horror films? I love horror films, but this is really my first opportunity to participate in a couple of different capacities. It's typically been drama, comedy, dramedies. So this is actually a new adventure for me.
Oh, okay. Sounds good. And you pronounce it Jaime?
Jamie.
Jamie. Okay, Jamie.
My middle name.
Gotcha. Okay. I was just asking them all if they were horror fans or not. Isabella said she was. John, not so much. How about you?
I'm a huge horror fan.
There you go.
Yeah, I really, really, I think it's one of the only genres that we can explore so many parts of ourselves that are not something that people want to explore, but something that needs to be explored.
Right.
So it's one of my favorite genres.
Very nice. Very good. Okay. And I guess we're expecting a couple more people, so we'll just kind of roll with it as they filter in. But how much do you know about? I was asking Isabella, and she wasn't sure because she just really didn't know much about the project until she got the script. But does either one of you know where this whole thing started? Because some of the information I was reading was saying that it actually started with like a short story. And
Yeah, yeah, it was pre-pandemic. Actually, had been formatted to be a short, and during the pandemic, that kind of put everything on hold, and it gave the opportunity for Natalie to really dive into this and make it a full feature.
very nice. Did you read the story?
Did I read the story? Yes.
How does it differ a lot from the film itself? Obviously, the film is a feature, so it's going to be expanded. But is it pretty much along everything else the same?
Well, unfortunately, I didn't see it in the version of the short because that was prior to my jumping on board.
I got you.
But I'm assuming that just the scenes were definitely expanded, more characters, allowed for more character development as well.
Okay. Well, we keep getting Kevin and then losing Kevin.
No,
There
no,
we go. He's back.
I'm here. I'm sorry.
All right. So what I want to do, I think we're still missing Natalie, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
Natalie's having a little trouble joining, but I'm happy to speak on the project. I'm Kevin. I'm her right hand man on this.
nice. I was going to say, let's go
And
ahead
the
and go to
left.
the round table. We'll start with you, Kevin. Let us know who you are, how you got involved in the film, and then we'll go to each person and determine what their role is.
Sure. So my name is Kevin Keeling. I am the unit production manager and line producer for this. So I'm pretty much handling all the logistical aspects of it. I came on board through a different project that I met Natalie on. It was a short. We were doing it maybe two years ago, and as we were working on that, Natalie let me know about this, and we kind of shifted gears as the strikes happened, as people were coming out of lockdown and COVID. And I've been on this for the better part of a year and a half, just trying to make it happen. So I've been helping her locate our funders, lock our cast into place. Yeah, so it's been a long road, and I'm happy that it's going to go to the next steps within the next couple months.
Excellent. Jamie, how about you?
So I snuck the script, but I auditioned for the lead, and I am now playing Cassie.
Very nice. And John?
I've probably been involved a little under 2 years. I got brought into this with the hopes that there was going to be some casting opportunity for me, as well as I was doing a host to some of the fundraising that we were doing, a couple of events. And as this has developed, actually a couple of roles have been created for me. So not only am I associate producer, also doing some help and assistance with the location identification for the filming, and also a couple of characters. One is the monster, and the other is the pharmacist.
Double duty. I like it.
Yeah.
Right. Isabella?
Yes. So the way that I got involved with this, my mom showed me the script, and I read the whole thing, and I auditioned for it, and I just really liked it. Yeah, and I got the part.
Awesome. Now, you guys are all located in California, or are any of you traveling for this?
I
Nope,
believe we're all
all-
located. Yeah, we're all located here in California.
Okay. Now, the film hasn't been shot as of yet, correct?
No, we are in pre-production, and while everyone here is in California, we do have some folks flying in from Tennessee, New York, a couple of other East Coasters.
Very nice. Okay. When is shooting scheduled for? Do you have a date yet?
We're shooting in spring. We had to make some adjustments due to an unforeseen surgery that's coming up, but everybody's still on board, and we're all very excited to be shooting this. So
very cool. Very cool. Now, John, you were saying something about that you've been associated with this for 2 years now.
A little under 2 years. Yeah, when we first started, we did some initial fundraising, and we actually did some events where we hosted and live streamed. And so I did some of the interviewing with the other production members and some of the cast.
Okay, yeah, I'm going to be asking a lot of technical questions and things like that back because this is Indie Horror Junkie. We go out to a lot of the indie horror fans that want to hear about the movies, but we also have a lot of filmmakers, writers, producers, actors, actresses, and they like to know some of the inner workings of how these smaller projects. I call filmmakers like us the working class filmmakers. The people who go to work with 9-to-5 jobs and then film at night and the weekends and stuff like that because we do it because it's our passion. We're not doing it because we're getting paid gobs of money and stuff like that. I mean, the money would be great, but at the end of the day, we're making movies because we love making movies. And that's what, we try to make sure that everybody understands how this all works and how this all kind of comes together and stuff like that. So, Kevin, since you're the right-hand man, you want to give us a little scoop on exactly what the movie's about without giving away any of the real details other than John giving away he's the monster already?
So it follows Cassie, who we have both young and adult Cassie here, who is a college-age student, and she starts suffering from sleep paralysis and night terrors, and she slowly starts to realize that that's tied to some trauma that she faced as a child. So it kind of explains why we have the child and the adult role.
Okay, so this basically spans over a period of time when you're talking about the young and then the old, right?
Yeah.
Okay, very cool. And it is a feature film, correct?
It is a feature film. It originally started, as you mentioned, as a short story that evolved into a short film. And then just before John and myself got involved was the decision to make it into a full-length feature. And some of that original fundraising that John was a part of was we were trying to do this off of just like Indiegogo, extremely low budget. But as more people got involved, we realized to tell the story authentically and with the level of quality that it deserves, we needed to have a bit higher of a budget in order to get adequate crew, adequate cast and locations. And so that's how it went from being this short story to short film to low budget independent to it's still a low budget, but definitely not a multi-million-dollar film.
No, of course not. Now, the short film, what is the time span that's gone on from the short film to now it becoming a feature film? How long ago did this all start?
So the original short story, I believe, was written 3.5 to 4 years ago. It becoming a short film, at least in a script form, was maybe 2.5 years ago. And then in that 6-month period, it was never shot as a short film, but it slowly became a feature film as more of the story expanded.
Okay. And Natalie, she wrote the short by herself and she directed the short film as well. And now she's also going to be the writer-director of the feature, correct?
Correct.
Okay, great. Have any of you had any experience working in any other horror films? I know John hasn't because he doesn't even like horror movies, but has anybody else?
Not that I don't like them. No, I do like horror films. I haven't participated.
Bella actually did.
Yeah. Yeah, I worked on a horror comedy a few years ago. And it was a really fun experience. They had to, I have a picture of me smiling with blood in my mouth. So it was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. Anybody else have any experience? Isabella, any other horror films besides this one?
Yeah, I had one other beside this. It was called Legend of El Cucuy. I was one of like the children in like the tale, like in the storytelling.
No. Okay. Have any of you had any experience working on any studio projects? Obviously, we're talking Indie Horror Junkie, but we always like to try and get people's opinions of what it's like working with the studios and those kind of situations, as opposed to working with the let's work 15-hour days, and do all that kind of stuff. Anybody have any experience working on any bigger budget films?
Yeah, I'll tell you the biggest difference. It's not the money; it's the size of the crew. The amount of people that we have working on this project would make up one department on a studio feature.
And that's the thing that I've always, because I'm a writer director myself as well, and that's one of the things that you can say, yeah, I'm the writer director, but at the end of the day, I'm writer director, craft services, sometimes transportation, script supervisor. So it's the beauty and the curse of independent films, is that you wear so many hats. The good part is because you get a lot of experience in those different departments and stuff that'll help you somewhere else, and also meeting all the people that you do and stuff like that. But then, of course, the bad thing is you don't really get to focus on your particular job. So you really have to do as much as you can to do as much basically in prep, or get people around you in the key departments and stuff, so you can make sure that you get what you want. But to me, I love independent films because it's like a family type environment. And when I say 15-hour days, to me, that's a short day. We filmed a film called The Clock just recently, and we had at least one, if not two, 19-hour days. And they were something. Well, I mean, the clock was supposed to be something that was, I was told that we're going to stick to this thing where it's going to be 1 to maybe 6 cast members, 1 to 2 location stops, and we're going to shoot it in 5 days. So I said, sounds great. So when I wrote the script, I ended up writing it for 32 cast members, 6 locations, but we still shot it in 5 days. So I was really happy with how it came out and everything. It's going to be released here soon, but we had some very long days, and that's the kind of stuff you'll get sued for, in the studio. But over here, it's like, hey, we're all friends. We're filming at so-and-so's house. Get some coffee going. We're all good, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
As long as it's good coffee.
Yeah, as long as it's good coffee. But then again, at that time in the morning, you really don't care. As long as it's something hot and it'll keep you awake, you're good. All right. Anybody have any experience working with Natalie before? I was hoping we'd kind of get her on here, but any experience working with her in something else?
Unfortunately, I have not.
Okay.
This is really my first experience with her, and I'm so far enjoying it, loving her creativity and her ability to kind of think outside the box, as well as her ability to pull in all the right team members to make this a magical and successful production.
Now, I know you're playing the monster. Now, I don't want you to give anything away or whatever it is, but is there going to be any kind of computer-generated stuff, or is this all going to be practical effects, or how is this working? Maybe you or Kevin could answer that one.
I'm happy to answer. So a lot of our production team are fans of practical effects, and where we can, we plan to use practical, but obviously some touch-ups in post, some extensions of sets or the creature itself. We plan to use post-production VFX for that, but we're going to do what we can with practical effects on the day, and then just extend it a little bit in post.
All right, because that's what I was kind of curious about, because when I was reading the description, once again, it says it's a dramatic, psychological thriller with horror elements. So It doesn't, I wasn't quite sure how the horror thing was going to be. Now, when he said monster, that's what made me think, okay, it's going to have some horror there. So I just didn't know how deep you guys were going to go, or is this more a psychological horror film?
It's certainly a more psychological one. It's her trauma begins to manifest in a physical form.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So it's not as gory as a traditional horror film might come out to be, but it still has a lot of horror elements within it because of the trauma and because of the storytelling aspect of it.
And if you have any experience with night terrors or anything like that in real life, because I've heard stories.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I had sleep paralysis. Well, I've always been plagued by nightmares. The first nightmare I had, I know I had it for at least 2 years. It was a recurring one as a kid. But one of the more recent experiences, I had sleep paralysis. And I actually spoke about it with these people before. But yeah, I mean, it's terrifying, and I would say that that is enough horror to really scare people. Um, yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I've heard about. Now you said a reoccurring nightmare. I've never. I mean, I've read about stuff like that, but I've never experienced anything like that. That's got to be almost like it's trying to send you a message, kind of thing. You know?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, dreams and nightmares. I think it's honestly a subconscious thing. You have no control unless you figure out how to have lucid dreaming. But at least in terms of reoccurring, um, yeah, I mean, I would say it's probably a deep fear of mine that I had even when I was a kid that I kind of would have over and over again throughout the years. It wasn't like it was every day or every night, but it was every now and then. And I would show up in the same place and the same thing would happen. And it was the same fear. So, I mean, they chase you.
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
Isabella, you have any nightmares?
Yes, I do, because of like my family problems. I used to have like nightmares that I had to actually like get a psychiatrist, and they told me what to do, like how to like deal with it and how to make it go away. So they just told me to like write my emotions out, do whatever, but it would still come out again, like it would still come now and then, and I would still be like terrified of it. But it eventually gone away.
Well, good, good. I wrote a short film when I was oh my god, I can't say when I was younger, but it's been a while back. It was called The Book of Nightmares, and basically the whole idea of the Book of Nightmares was there was a magical book that when somebody had these reoccurring nightmares, they were like really hardcore nightmares with something chasing them, they would sleep with that book under their pillow, and they would wake up from that nightmare and immediately write down all the details they remember of the nightmare. And once they write it in the book and close the book, it seals that nightmare in the book, and the book binds it. So it was really we made it kind of like a little almost like a little Goonies movie, a bunch of little kids and stuff like that. And when you read the nightmares, that brings them back out of the book. So of course chaos ensued. So, but all right, give me a little idea. We're going to go around the table here, Isabella. Okay, obviously you're an actress in this film. Is this what you've always wanted to be as an actress?
Yeah. And just for a moment, real quick, I'm very sorry, but I have like this big showcase for dance right now, and I have to
You're
go
good.
real quick, so I'm very sorry.
It was a pleasure meeting you.
But
Take care.
Here.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye. John, we're going to switch to you now. Now, you obviously
Sure.
you probably didn't grow up wanting to be an actress, but did you want to always be an actor? Or is it something like? I guess what the question I'm asking basically is that is this what you've wanted to do? Is always perform in front of the camera, or do you have aspirations to write, direct, produce?
I had some early theater in school and really loved it, enjoyed it. Unfortunately, my path took me into corporate America, and I spent a better part of 29 years working between Eastman Kodak and International Paper. My daughter had my first grandchild, lived here in California. I lived in New York. And so it was going to be a pretty widespread to stay connected with my grandchildren or future grandchildren. So we made the decision to move out here. And years ago, when my kids were small, I had been approached coming out of Universal Studios. This is before the internet, so I'm dating myself. And they asked me to go for a pilot for a screen test. And it was for a new pilot called My Two Dads that obviously I knew nothing of. And I was just a visitor coming out of Universal Studios. And in those days, they used to grab people as they were coming out, I guess, looked at their look, and they would send them for a screen test. So I contemplated doing that. Unfortunately, the situation was not conducive. I had to be back. Well, my daughter was in Arizona, so I only had my son with me in California and my wife. And we had to leave at 7 o'clock the next morning to fly to Arizona, pick up my daughter who was staying there with family, and then take a red eye back to New York and be back to work the next day.
Wow.
So I contemplated it, and I was like, I'm going to pass because they couldn't give me really anything definitive. You got to be there at 6:30 in the morning. And long story short, I regretted it. It went on for 6 seasons. I don't know if I would have been cast for it, but it would have been pretty cool to find out. So it's always been in the back of my mind. Moving out here, changing careers. I left everything behind, and I'm now following my dream to pursue acting. And I've been pretty fortunate. I've done a handful of independent films. We did a 48-hour film that was a fun competition. We got 7 nominations out of it. Obviously, doing this film and being part of the production side as well as being cast is really a dream come true. But I've done mostly a lot of television background featured work, and I'm really excited to take this. But yes, to answer your question, I do prefer to be in front of the camera.
Gotcha. Very, very good, interesting information. Jamie, how about you?
So I went to NYU for writing, but I have been acting for a very long time. I have always wanted to be kind of straddling both sides, honestly. I'm a very active person, so I like to do stuff in front of the camera and perform. I was a dancer since I was 3. I like doing action, that kind of aspect of me translated very well into acting. And like I said, I went to school for writing, and I kind of want to do both. Just being a filmmaker in general, I feel is my calling. But I do prefer to be in front of the camera. It's just a journey, an artistic journey. But yeah, I just have always wanted to be a filmmaker.
Cool. And Kevin, I'm sure you've always wanted to be a UPM, right?
In all honesty, my degree is in mathematics and physics. That's what I went to school for. And I came out of school, I was a project manager for about 5 years. And I started to do film a little bit on the side, and I got to learn a lot of it, and eventually moved out to Los Angeles, not to pursue film, but that's just where my job took me. And I still did a little bit of film on the side until COVID happened, and it shut down the company I worked for, and it afforded me the opportunity to move into film full time. And since then, I've been working full time. First as an assistant director, because that kind of mirrored what I was doing as a project manager. Mm-hmm. And as I learned more and more of the industry, I got more comfortable doing line producing and production management as a whole. So that really rounds out where I am in at least independent film. Obviously, if I moved into more studio work, I'd have to join the union and everything, but the past 5 years that I've been in LA has been a major learning experience and learning exactly what I wanted to do in the industry.
And what are your aspirations? I mean, if you could say 5 years down the road that everything shakes out the way you want it to be, what is it that you would like to be doing? Is this it, or do you looking more like writing, directing, or? No,
I actually very much enjoy the kind of mix between unit production manager, line producing, assistant directing. I'll be a first assistant director. I'll be a second assistant director. But that's really where my headspace and where my sweet spot is. I enjoy problem solving. Mm-hmm. I describe film as putting a puzzle together while the pieces are moving. So I really enjoy that, and I enjoy the problems that come up being in the positions I've been in.
Wow, putting a puzzle together while the pieces are still moving. I'm going to steal that. I just want to let you know up front that it's on tape, but I love that. That's great.
Okay, I already have it on a T-shirt, so.
Damn it. We'll fix it in post on a T-shirt, so we're all good there. Now, once again,
says we'll fix it in pre.
Yeah, there you go. That's exactly that's one of the things that my proudest moment with the clock is that we did so much pre-production. If we didn't do the pre-production we had no chance of getting it done in 5 days. Even though we had those long days, it still wouldn't have worked, because I recommend to everybody, lay it all down, break that movie down, film that movie in pre-production first before you ever set a foot on set. It'll save you. Trust me. Now, that's one of the things that I definitely wanted to ask you about. I was also going to ask Natalie too, but obviously we can't. But let me, pick your brains a little bit. So we have a lot of filmmakers and stuff that watch us. I'm based in Florida. And we have a very thriving independent film scene here. We got Facebook groups, we've got other groups put together. We do a lot of independent films here in Florida and the surrounding areas like Georgia and stuff like that. But you guys are in the land of milk and honey, Hollywood, right? What is the independent scene there? Or is it more studio stuff and just a couple things going on here and there that you have to find? Or is it a thriving community there as well?
I think right now that's a really tough
Yeah.
Really?
Coming out of COVID, there was a little bit of a boom in independent and studio work altogether. But since the strikes last year, there was a bit of a slowdown going into the strikes, and then coming out there's kind of a lower amount of work than I think a lot of people were expecting, and it's kind of quiet in a sense. But yeah, in a similar way to what you do, we have Facebook groups, we have websites dedicated to finding independent work and some studio work. Studio, it's a bit more connection, more union members are working on productions, obviously, but it's the same kind of struggle out here sometimes, just checking every day who's posting on what Facebook groups to find your next project.
Yeah.
How about you, Jay? Were you going to say something?
Yeah. No, it's just since the strikes and everything, like he said, it's been a lot slower than I think a lot of people anticipated. I know that it will pick up. We do have some projects that are still going, obviously, indie and studio. But, it's just not what people expected. I do see, because as an actor, you're constantly checking and submitting. And I have my manager and representation submitting for me. I've been fortunate enough to see some auditions come in. So it's not like it's completely dead, but it is kind of chugging along as much as it can until it starts popping up again. But yeah, I mean, I know I worked a little bit in the industry in North Carolina, and it kind of seems similar in that respect, that at least when I was working there as a filmmaker, it was probably around the same type of slowness that we would see over here. So it's just, based on location, we would hope it would be a lot more, but it'll go there again.
I mean, that's one of the things that I definitely wanted to find out about as far as a comparison, because with us being here in Florida, we don't have Hollywood here, obviously. There's a lot of independent stuff going on here. I have had friends that have moved to California and are working actors and stuff in California now, and they've given me all kinds of horror stories. I mean, they're enjoying a lot of things, but there's so many things that they took for granted while they were here that they don't get. Like, in other words, when you go and get locations and stuff like that, we don't really worry about permitting and stuff like that or whatever. It's usually this, that. But over in California, from my understanding, is that there's so much filming, and with studio filming and everything, that everybody is going to be having to get permits for pretty much everything, and you're not going to get the family discounts you get someplace over here because somebody wants to make a movie, because over there they're making movies every freaking day. So you're going to feel like everybody else.
It's the industry. It's at least in other places where it's not famous for the industry. You're going to have a lot more people who are generous and who are just excited to see a place out on screen. I know I did short films in high school, and I was living in North Carolina at the time as well. So I was able to kind of bootstrap this thing together because a lot of people were just excited to see that there was something being made. I got a car that was, more expensive, that I wouldn't have been able to afford to rent, that they gave because they were a neighbor, and they were like, hey, that's so exciting that you're doing this. Whereas over here, people are just going to be like, okay, how much? Because it's an industry, and it's what everybody's used to over here. Whereas over there, it's a lot more rare, but it is an atmosphere where it is a lot more community in that sense because people are generous. Whereas over here, it's community because people are going through having to jump through hoops to get that type of thing because it's not as generous. I don't want to speak down on LA though.
No. I mean,
the pros and
that's
cons
where
of wherever you are.
that's still the heart of Hollywood, and I still hope one day to be out there doing some stuff, whatever. But I'm enjoying my time here. I'm enjoying the independent scene.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, that's where everybody wants to be.
Yeah.
So,
and I don't blame them for wanting to be here, because there's a definite difference in how much money you get.
Yeah.
I will say that,
Right.
not to brag, but it's also a quality of life thing too.
Yeah.
It's just the difference, pros and cons of a place that you decide to be in.
Yeah, but then you got the taxes, you got the earthquakes, you got all that good stuff. So I mean, yeah. But then again, here we've got hurricanes. So yeah, it's How about you, John? What's your experience?
My experience, I mean, I think I agree with what Kevin and Bella said. Because of the strike and the impact coming out of the pandemic, things were starting to ramp up. The strikes hit, and it really killed it. I mean, I was doing, I shot all of Black One. In fact, my last day was like May 12th before the writer's walk. And this is a new Netflix series, and we finished Black One. Black Two was supposed to start in June and film through September. The strike hit, so that got all squashed. And I've only had 3 days of work for that production since the strike has ended. It's changed the environment. There's a lot of television, I think, that is happening at the studios, but as far as film, I think it's, everybody was scrambling. The industry in itself, I look at it as an engine. During the strike, it became overhauled. People, from a financial perspective, couldn't afford their housing to live here. I think people left the state. And so now for those productions to get started back up, the engine's still getting tuned up and tweaked. So we're probably at maybe 50 or 60% operating capacity, maybe at best. But hopefully in time, we should be able to get back to where we were.
And I want to add that on top of that, we also are anticipating a possible other strike.
I was going to mention that. I heard that.
Yeah, that's a bad feeling.
Yeah. So it's rough, but at the same time, I am really, at least after IATSE goes and does what they need and what they choose to do, I do think that we will see another type of creative renaissance occur. I don't know exactly when. I can't predict that, but I do have hope that, there will be some change that is needed in this industry. But on top of that, there will be a lot more creativity and authentic creations coming to fruition because of it.
Yeah. I mean, when you think of it from the outside looking in, you'd think that a strike affects SAG, and 90% of the indie stuff is non-union. So you would think that there'd be that much more work. So it's weird hearing that everything is shutting down. When down here we had people that were SAG actors and actresses that were doing indie work just because they couldn't do anything else.
Yeah.
So it didn't really affect the indie scene since we were non-union. So it's just kind of weird hearing that it affected that as well in California.
Well, one of the things is that a lot of the unions were saying if a creator wants to be a part of the union, that they are asking non-union who are hoping to become part of the union. Maybe people have vouchers and they just haven't given in to become union, or are still working to get in. They ask them, please, don't cross the picket line. Don't take work because it's you're going to be a part of this union, and we hope that you would respect what we are asking for, because the unions are honestly fighting for everybody to have the rights, not just the union members, but also, there's a lot of things that, are coming up in those negotiations, the use of AI, for example, all these different things that are somewhat existential threats to the artists in this industry, and multiple factors of it, not just actors and writers, but also, wardrobe, VFX, stunts, any of these people can be affected. So I honestly think that that's probably why we're seeing a lot of a decline in the non-union aspect. Also, kind of slowing down as well, because and the indie circuit is like also slowing, at least over here, because of that.
I got you. Yeah, I was going to ask Natalie one of the questions, and maybe Kevin, you could help with this a little bit. But do you have any idea what? Obviously, you had a short film that's on this project here as well, and now it's turning into a feature film. So, do you have any kind of idea what the game plan is once the film is done? I mean, does she have some kind of? Because one of the biggest things that a lot of people talk about, especially down here, is the whole distribution scene with the streaming services and stuff. Nobody's getting any minimum guarantees anymore, and the streaming services aren't reporting things correctly, so nobody's hardly getting paid. So it's become like a nightmare. That's part of what the strike was about. Does she have like a game plan or anything like that? Is this going to be like a self distribution type thing, or do you think she has some kind of distribution set up?
So that's actually something I've been a part of the discussions with her and a number of distributors. First and foremost, we would be looking to take this to some festivals. And then post that, we have a number of distributors who are interested in the project. They're more so willing to look at it when we have the final cut.
Right.
There have been ones that were interested in, okay, we'll be a part of it from the beginning, but researching and figuring out their place in the industry and the quality of work that they put out. It's been a back and forth trying to figure out who would be the best distributor for us to partner with. But we'd certainly be looking to tackle some festivals. And then if we don't find a distributor through those, we have an extensive, exhaustive list that Natalie, our interns, and myself have been a part of collecting, and we'll reach back out to those. So we wouldn't be looking to self-distribute. I know she's gone through that with her previous films, and while that's been a way for her to get her project out there, like you said, it's a little difficult to make money off of that. And the goal of this movie is to first make the movie and get the message out there, because it does deal with trauma. It does deal with mental health and other aspects of mental awareness. But we want that message out there. But ultimately, that I think all of us would be able to live a little better if we were able to make money off of the project and make money going forward with a good distributor. If it went to theaters, we would love that. But we have discussed it with streaming services and traditional distributors on what we're planning to do after.
Well, good. You've made those steps in pre-production. That's really good that you guys plan that far ahead. All right, as we're getting closer to the end of our little journey here, let's go around the table here. We'll start with you, John. What have you got lined up after this? Anything that you can tell us about?
I am involved with a couple of projects, independent films. I'm working with a writer that's based out of New York as well, and hopefully that's something that's going to come to fruition pretty quick.
Very nice. Jamie?
Yeah, I'm sticking with. I have been fortunate. I don't know if I had mentioned, but I have been fortunate. Done a lot of television and featured roles, and I feel blessed for that opportunity. Somebody as young in the industry as I've been, I really only got full-fledged into this back when I moved here in 2016, 2017 is really when I started getting my feet wet.
Oh, you're a baby.
Went in like a sponge. Yeah, I went in like a sponge. Did whatever. Did a lot of background work. Actually worked with a independent short with Bella a few years back. That's how we first met, and that really allowed me to cut my teeth, and eventually started doing student films, got leads in student films, and then started branching out into the independent films. And like I said, I feel very fortunate. Became a member of SAG pretty quick, and supporting our efforts. And I just pray that the studios woke up with the strike between the writers and SAG and treat IATSE a little bit more respectful, because I don't think they can afford another setback.
I don't think they can. And that other strike that's looming, that's kind of from a different angle. That's I'm not sure how much more damage this is going to do, but I'm just hoping that everybody can come to their senses and realize what's going on and take care of the people that take care of all of us. So,
Absolutely, 100%.
Bella, what do you got lined up next?
Well, I do a lot. So like I said, I went to school for writing. So I'm honestly in the process of like redrafting like 5 different scripts at all times. I also train extensively. I'm looking to branch out into doing stunt work as well. So I've been training for the past 3.5 years or so now, in terms of doing stunt work, wire work, car, pulls and hits and all that. But yeah, so I mean, it's literally just a matter of constantly submitting. I mean, that's the thing. I am in the process of becoming a bit more of a producer as well. I have a few projects lined up that I am helping to produce. But aside from that, in terms of my acting career, it's literally just training and seeing what happens. I do have the film that I worked on a few years ago. I believe that they're going to be distributed soon. I'm not sure. I have to message the director and make sure. So don't quote me on that. But it's just a matter of constantly trying to find something to work on creatively because it's my passion. So
Gotcha.
Training and working on any project, whether it's acting, writing, doing stunts, or helping to produce it.
All right. Well, I am going to quote you on that because this is all tape, so it's on tape.
Yeah. Well, then I'm not sure if it's
there we
literally
go.
right now or not.
Right.
But
sure, everybody.
I know that they told me that they are in talks and in negotiations, and they've been, they've been working with other people and everything. So here's hoping. I haven't gotten an update. So the last I heard, they were in talks to distribute. So
very cool.
There you go. That's the more accurate quote.
Sounds good. Kevin, you got anything lined up after this?
I have a couple of shorts that I'm producing, but I'm also working on a feature film. It takes place in 2003. It's a road trip movie between a high school graduate as he takes a 30-year-old woman up to San Quentin to see her father, who's on death row.
Ooh, interesting. I like that. All right. This next question, we're going to exclude you, Kevin, because these are for the actors here. So just sit back and enjoy. John, sure. Tell us a little bit about, obviously not the monster, but tell us a little bit about your character and his involvement in the movie without giving anything away.
Oh, that's kind of tough.
If it's tough, then we'll just jump to Bella and we'll disregard you completely.
Yeah.
Okay, no problem. Bella, tell us a little bit about it.
Can you say the question again? I'm sorry.
Yeah, a little bit about your character and what your character does in the film.
Okay. Well, my character is dealing with a lot of trauma at a integral part of her life. She's dealing with school as well as dealing with relationships in her family and her partner. So a lot of the work as an actor that, it just takes a lot of preparation, at least for me. And in my opinion, to give justice to the character themselves. It's just a lot of preparation to make sure that I'm doing things as safely as possible because I am portraying somebody who's going through a trauma that honestly nobody would ever wish on somebody. So yeah, I mean, it's honestly that it's a lot to do with the darker sides of mental health. And that really manifesting in the body, but as well as like the experience of the character. So it's just very dark, sad feelings. I shouldn't be laughing, but it's that type of preparation. So as an actor, I'm really eager to and thankful and grateful for the opportunity to be able to portray something like that because it's important in my opinion for other people to be able to see that and to be able to process their own emotions through the character that I am fortunate enough to have been cast as.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I really wanted to talk to Natalie about, was because one of the things that intrigued me about this movie when I was reading up on it is the fact that it has that underlying message, that you're trying to get it with mental health. We had our first film festival this past February. The short film that won the short was from a group called Cosmic Wave Films, and it was a movie called Panic Attack. And the whole movie was basically, the underlying theme was talking about PTSD and stuff like that, mental health awareness. So I really like that when I call it like horror with purpose. Where you're creating something, that's a horror film, whatever it is. You're getting people that enjoy horror films and stuff to watch it for that reason, but yet you're also delivering a message that's very important. And that's something that I've always been intrigued about and always liked. So that's why I was really intrigued and wanted to get you guys on here and chat about that a little bit. So.
Yeah, Natalie has done a wonderful job with that, especially as a director. She has been somebody who's very supportive and encouraging of the artists that are involved, as well as ensuring the safety of everybody on set, and mentally as well. Because of the subject matter that we're dealing with, we know it's extremely sensitive. It does have to do with PTSD. It's not just sleep paralysis, but it's something that is rooted in the inner child. It's childhood trauma. And because of the sensitivity of the subject matter, she's been wonderful in that regard. And speaking on, what you said, horror with a purpose, that's one of the main reasons why I am so passionate about this project being made, because I see it. When I saw it, when I first read it, like I said, I snuck the script and I was like, I think that this is something that needs to be made. Even if I wasn't cast as the lead, I would make this anyway. I would work on it in some capacity because of the message behind it. You never know who is watching something that maybe they see an aspect of themselves, or they learn how to process things. It's also destigmatizing therapy. And for a lot of communities in this world, therapy still is stigmatized negatively. And that's one of the reasons why I'm passionate about this project, because it's to showcase to people that it's okay to ask for help and to need help, and to get that help so that you become a healthier person. That's what's most important.
Love that. That's exactly what I was talking about. I was going to say maybe that's what drove you to this particular script too, the fact that you have experience with that, but also mainly because it's got a purpose behind it, that we're trying to raise awareness that it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to, as long as you take care of yourself, and that's a huge thing. So I'm really, really happy for you guys. All right. Anything else you guys want to say? Any websites you want to direct anybody to, or anything like that they can if they want to follow up on this film?
Hey, Kev, can you share at all some of the cast that we've already acquired?
Yeah, so we have Scout Taylor Compton, we have Felissa Rose, we have Bella and Isabella, John, James Duvall.
James Duvall,
we have two other names, not adding them to the list just yet. We have them, but I kind of want to keep them under wraps.
Absolutely.
And if you're interested in hearing more about the project, feel free to find us on Facebook, Instagram. We're posting constantly about the project to be updated. And if you want any more information, you can reach out to us there, and we'll answer any questions. If you want to get involved with the project, we're happy to discuss that as well.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Felissa Rose and Scout, so kudos to you guys for landing those two amazing actresses. They're going to bring a lot to the table for you guys. Really happy for you.
Thank
you. All right. Thank you guys so much for joining me today and letting us know a little bit about you guys, a little bit about filmmaking in California, and a little bit about this film that I'm very excited for you and to see. So please keep me posted, and we at Indie Horror Junkie will do everything we can to help you promote it.
Perfect.
Awesome. Thanks for having us.
All right. You guys have a great rest of your day. Take care.
Bye.
You too.
All right, take care. Bye-bye. See you, Bella.
Take care.
Yeah. I don't know how to get off of here. Give me a second.
I'll boot you off. Take care, John. All right. So we made it through basically unscathed. I didn't get to put the links on the bottom. I forgot how to do that. I forgot how to check the chat. I didn't ask Otis how to do any of that. So, I will try and I'll do better next time, but hopefully Otis will be back and help me. So you guys have a great weekend, and we'll see you next Wednesday.